Using positive reinforcement for children with autism spectrum disorder during transitioning. Signature Project Part 2, Tara Newland. This study will address the aggressive tendencies and tantrums displayed by children with autism spectrum disorder, known as ASD, during transition times. When students are transitioning from one activity to another in the classroom or throughout the school day, it can be a challenging time for a child with ASD, which can often result in aggressive behavior or tantrums. The purpose of this study is to evaluate the use of behavior modification through positive reinforcement when children with ASD display aggressive tendencies or tantrums during transitioning. With the growing number of ASD diagnoses in our country, there's an increasing number of children with ASD entering the school system. Symptoms can include repetitive behavior, developmental delays, social difficulties, communication issues, aggression, and sensory issues. Starting school for any child can be overwhelming. However, a child with ASD has added pressure, as children can be fixated on specific schedules and routines. Any disruption in a daily routine can lead to behavior issues arising. Unfortunately, there are several transitions in every school setting each school day. These outbursts can be in the form of aggressive tendencies or tantrums disrupting the classroom. Positive reinforcement effectively encourages successful transition and builds confidence. This study will use the method of positive reinforcement for children with ASD who display aggressive tendencies and tantrums during transition. Vinnie 2024 states that behavior intervention plans and evidence-based behavior techniques have been used for individuals with autism in situations where behavior challenges have become an issue. Per the data collected at Johnson Elementary in the Pre-K Prime Beginnings classroom, there is a need to find a way to help decrease aggressive tendencies and tantrums during transition times. Behavior modification through positive reinforcement is an appropriate method for decreasing these behaviors. The method can be conducted within the instructional time of the school day. This approach personalizes reinforcement according to each child's preferences, enhancing success. Implementing behavior modifications through positive reinforcement will help reduce aggressive tendencies and tantrums during transition for children with ASD. This will ease the stress and anxiety that transition commonly causes. Positive reinforcement is a way to support children with ASD in transitioning, and decreasing the behavioral issues will also reduce the disruption in instructional time. The study's research will be quantitative. Data will be collected using a partial interval recording data sheet to measure behavioral incidents during transition throughout the school day. The study will involve 4 children with autism spectrum disorder who attend the Prime Beginnings Pre-K program at Johnson Elementary School in North Alabama. Purposive sampling will be used, intentionally selecting children with ASD who exhibit transition-related behavior rather than choosing participants randomly. The target population consists of pre-K children with ASD experiencing transition-related challenges at Johnson Elementary. To identify the participants, we will conduct a 1-week evaluation using a partial interval recording data sheet, selecting the 4 students with the highest number of incidents during transitioning. This will also serve as the baseline data for this study. Given the individual nature of positive reinforcement, a hands-on approach will be necessary to help each child understand expected behaviors, presenting unique cases for research. Before the study begins, parents will sign a consent form allowing their child to participate. Both parents and teachers will complete an interest form identifying each child's preferences for fidgets, small toys, edibles, and preferred activities. The study involves minimal risk to no risk, as it employs positive reinforcement to support children during transitioning. Personal information will not be used on any data collection sheet. Each participant will be assigned a color to keep all information confidential. The teacher will use positive reinforcement techniques to support the transition of participants using verbal praise, fidgets, small toys, edibles, and preferred activities. The teacher will also be using picture schedules and first-then boards to assist in transition process. They will continue to use a partial interval recording data sheet throughout the study for data collection to measure the number of behavior incidence occurrences. Teachers will document instances when reinforcement is provided and the child's response. The percentage of successful transitions per week will be tracked to measure improvement. Existing communication channels within the school, such as email, newsletters, parent-teacher meetings, and take-home folders, will be leveraged to distribute and collect parent consent and interest forms. Reinforcers will be identified through the interest inventories completed by the parents and staff. Materials, such as the first-then board, the picture schedule cards, social stories, and visual prompts, will be gathered using existing classroom resources where possible. Additional materials will be sourced from reputable and free educational websites. Staff collaboration across the classroom may yield shared or surplus materials to reduce the need to purchase new. Data sheets and recording forms will be standardized using digital platforms like Google Sheets and Microsoft Excel. The intervention will be delivered by staff with training in behavior modification, special education teachers, aides, and registered behavior technicians. Short refresher sessions or intake meetings will be held to review procedures, thereby avoiding the need for extensive external training. By utilizing existing relationships, materials, staff experiences, and free or low-cost tools, the project will minimize resource efficiencies while ensuring high-quality implementation. Parents of the participants will be informed of the study's purpose and how it will be conducted when they sign the consent form. The study involves minimal to no risk, as it employs positive reinforcement to support children during transition. Personal information will not be used on any of the data collection sheets. A color will be assigned to each participant to use throughout the study. The target population consists of pre-K children with ASD experiencing transition-related challenges at Johnson Elementary. While the study is designed to evaluate the effectiveness of positive reinforcement in reducing aggressive tendencies and tantrums during transition, several limitations and external factors may influence students' outcome. The small number of participants would be a limitation. However, with the nature of the study, a large sampling would be difficult. The small number of participants would allow the focus to be individualized. Factors outside the classroom, such as home environment, parenting styles, or stressors at home, can impact a child's behavior at school. Parents will be asked to report any significant home changes that might affect behavior to account for these variables in data interpretation. The classroom environment is dynamic, and external factors such as peer interaction, unexpected schedule changes, or emergency drills may disrupt transitions. The study lasts for 8 weeks, which may not be enough time to see long-term behavior changes or maintenance of improved behavior. The identified problem is that children with ASD in the pre-K program exhibit aggressive tendencies and tantrums during transition. The purpose of this study is to evaluate whether positive reinforcement can effectively reduce these behaviors. Research shows that transitions can be challenging for children with ASD due to difficulties with routine changes, sensory sensitivities, and communication barriers. Positive reinforcement is an evidence-based intervention known to encourage desired behaviors by reinforcing them with preferred items or activities. By targeting transition-related behaviors, the study directly addresses this issue. The approach ensures that reinforcement is individualized based on each child's preference, increasing the likelihood of success. If I were to modify this study, I would extend the intervention period beyond the initial 8 weeks. Meaningful and lasting behavioral changes during transition often require additional time to develop and become consistent. A longer study would also provide opportunities to evaluate the effectiveness of reinforcement strategies and make adjustments if specific incentives or transition supports are no longer motivating or effective for the individual student. Maintaining open communication with parents and school staff is crucial to ensure that intervention strategies are implemented consistently across settings. Reinforcing these techniques both at school and at home increase the likelihood of successful behavior change. By extending the duration of the study, maintaining consistency, and promoting collaboration among educators and families, I believe the intervention would result in a meaningful and measurable reduction in challenging transition behaviors.